We come into this world and into our families' faith traditions long before we have the words to question them. The spiritual language we inherit, the prayers, the rituals, the image of the divine, is woven into the very fabric of our first understanding of love, safety, and belonging. This image of God is often passed down with such certainty and such devotion that we accept it not as one portrait among many, but as the only true likeness. For many of us, raised in deeply observant households, be they conservative evangelical, devoutly Catholic, traditionally orthodox Jewish, or any community with a strong, unshakable creed, this divine portrait came with a clear transactional framework. This God was a figure of cosmic accounting, pleased by specific beliefs, appeased by precise rituals, and demanding of unwavering loyalty to a particular tribe or institution. The message, often delivered with the most loving of intentions by our families and spiritual leaders, was implicit yet powerful. Stray from this path, and we risked not only divine disfavor, but also the fracture of the very human bonds that held our world together. This framework, this inherited portrait of a God who operates on a system of praise and payment, is not a modern invention. Its roots run deep, and its psychological architecture is laid bare in a startling and ancient text that challenges this entire construct. In the Gospel of Judas, a 2nd century Coptic manuscript discovered in Egypt and considered a Gnostic Christian text, we encounter a scene that shatters the conventional image of the gentle, meek Messiah. Here, we are told that one day, the rabbi from Nazareth, Jesus the Hebrew, found his 12 Hebrew disciples gathered together, seated in pious observance and offering a prayer of thanksgiving over their bread. It was a sacred moment, a ritual of gratitude and devotion, and in response, Yeshua laughed. His disciples, understandably confused and perhaps offended, asked him, "Master, why are you laughing at our prayer? What have we done? This is what's right." The teacher's response cuts to the very heart of their spiritual posture. "I'm not laughing at you. You're not doing this because you want to, but because through this, your God will be praised." They protest, insisting he is the son of their God, to which he replies with the question that dismantles their certainty. "How do you know me? Truly, I say to you, no generation of the people among you will know me." This exchange provokes anger and confusion in the hearts of his disciples. Seeing this turmoil within them, the teacher then offers a diagnosis that serves as a pivotal insight of this episode. As translated in the text, he says to them, "Why are you letting your anger trouble you? Has your God within you and his stars become angry with your souls?" Let us sit with this diagnosis. The laughter of the Nazarene rabbi is not mockery of sincere search. It is the poignant, perhaps tragic response to a profound human misredirection. The disciples are not worshiping a boundless, transcendent source of all reality. They are worshiping a projection. Their prayers, their pious ritual over the bread, are not flowing from a free and awakened heart toward the infinite. They are transactions directed at a deity fashioned in the image of their own inner state, a God conjured from their own anger, their need for control, their desire for a predictable system of reward and recognition. Your God, who is within you. This is the crucial pivot. the God who demands specific sacrifices, who is angered by incorrect practice, who plays favorites among tribes. This God is not the boundless, abundant source. This God is a mirror, reflecting back the disciples' own unhealed emotions, their own tribal psychology, their own view of us versus them. Their piety is not a bridge to the divine. It is a feedback loop amplifying their own human fragilities. This is the core of what we might call the enforcer God. It is the deity invoked to justify rigid boundaries, to condemn outsiders, and to enforce conformity within a loving family or a devout community. This God thrives on transaction. Believe this, perform that, belong here, and you will be saved. Stray, doubt, or ask the wrong questions, and you face not only cosmic consequences, but often immediate, painful social consequences. The withdrawal of warmth, the cloud of disappointment, the threat of exile from the tribe that defines your world. The Gospel of Judas takes this critique further in a devastating vision. The disciple describes seeing a great temple with an altar and 12 priests receiving offerings from a crowd. They list the sins of the people bringing sacrifices. Some fast, others sacrifice their children or their wives, others commit acts of violence and impurity. Yet, all these people, in all their contradictory and violent acts, invoke the name of the teacher at the altar. His interpretation of their vision is blunt. You are the ones receiving the offerings on the altar you have seen. That is the God you serve. The message is startling in its clarity. The entire religious system, the temple, the priesthood, the sacrifices, the crowds seeking favor, is a closed system of human creation. The God served by this system is a construct, a celestial bureaucrat managing an economy, a business managing guilt and grace that keeps the human machinery of power, purity, and exclusion running. The disciples themselves are the priests of this system, and the people they lead are the sacrifices trapped within it. This is the ultimate child of hell from our previous map, a soul so perfectly trained in a transactional faith that it becomes an enforcer and perpetrator of the very bondage it believes it is escaping. The wayfinding insight here is both terrifying and liberating. The first, most profound step off the inherited map is the realization that the God we were taught to fear and appease may not be the boundless source of reality at all. It may be a mirror. It may be a magnified reflection of our family's fears, our culture's biases, our institutions' need for control, and our unprocessed anger and desire for a predictable universe. Think about it. A God who created the universe, the stars, the billions and trillions of cells, bacteria that hold our bodies up, needs a sacrifice from us? Come on now. This forces a deeply personal, often unsettling inquiry. We must look behind the portrait of the divine we were given and ask, what emotions, what human needs were really being served by this image? Was it a God of love or a God of belonging, designed to keep the tribe cohesive? Are these wants human or godly? Was it a God of justice or a God of judgment, reflecting a community's fear of the other and the unknown? Was it a God of infinite grace or a God of meticulous transaction, mirroring our own human insecurities about our worth and our desperate hope that the right behavior could secure our safety? To ask, what God did my enforcers really serve, is not to question their love, which was often real and profound, no doubt. It is to question the architecture of the reality they themselves likely inherited. It is to wonder if the divine presence they sought to connect us to was filtered through a human lens of anxiety, a need for order, a history of trauma. This inquiry is not about blaming our families, our rabbis, our priests, our pastors. It's about tracing the lineage of an idea. It is about discerning whether the love we were offered was conditional upon our worship of a particular, smaller God. This realization can feel like the ground giving away. If the God of our inheritance is a projection, then who or what is actually there? The laughter of the teacher in the Gospel of Judas does not leave us with a void. It shatters the idol so that we might stop talking to the mirror and begin the terrifying, open-ended search for that which exists before and beyond all our projections. The journey then shifts from mastering a transaction to surrendering to a mystery. It moves from worshiping a God made in the image of our tribe's emotions to seeking a presence that transcends all images, that eludes all systems, and that calls us not to rigid conformity, but to an ever deepening, often wordless communion with the very ground of being from which we and all our intricate maps first emerged.